In the glittering world of Hollywood, where love stories often burn bright and collapse just as quickly, there was one couple who managed to redefine what it means to stay connected even after love shifts form. Bruce Willis and Demi Moore were once the embodiment of star-studded romance, a magnetic pair that captured the hearts of millions. Yet behind their divorce papers and tabloid headlines, a secret was quietly growing. A tribute so personal, so profound, that not even their most loyal fans could have imagined it. It all began in the late 1980s, when Bruce and Demi first crossed paths. He was the wisecracking action star on the rise, and she was the sultry actress with a reputation for being both fiercely independent and captivatingly vulnerable. Their chemistry was electric, undeniable, and in 1987, they sealed their whirlwind romance with a marriage that instantly became front-page news. For over a decade, they were Hollywood royalty. Lavish premieres, glamorous vacations, and the birth of 3 beautiful daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, painted the image of a family living a dream. But as time passed, the cracks began to show. Careers diverged, pressures mounted, and in 2000, they made the shocking announcement of their divorce. The world expected the usual aftermath: custody battles, bitter interviews, and tabloid wars. But Bruce and Demi surprised everyone. Instead of falling into resentment, they rose into something almost unheard of in Hollywood: genuine friendship after marriage. They co-parented gracefully, attended each other's birthdays, and were often photographed laughing together like old friends who had simply changed chapters rather than closed the book entirely. Yet, beneath the surface of smiling photographs and public unity, Bruce was nurturing something else, something he never spoke about: a secret tribute to the woman who had once been his wife, the mother of his children, and always his friend. For years, there were subtle clues, moments that went unnoticed by the public, but were clear in hindsight. Bruce would disappear for days, traveling to obscure places without the media ever catching on. Close friends whispered about late-night phone calls, mysterious meetings with artists and architects, but no one pieced the puzzle together, and neither did Demi. She remained blissfully unaware of what Bruce was orchestrating behind the scenes. To her, their friendship was a testament to mutual respect and shared history, nothing more complicated than 2 people choosing kindness over bitterness. But Bruce's heart carried something deeper. He had always admired Demi's resilience, how she faced public scrutiny, personal heartbreaks, and life's relentless pressures with an almost supernatural grace. Even as their romantic love faded, his admiration never did. This was not about rekindling a lost romance. It was about honoring a person who had shaped his life in ways that words alone could never express. It was about creating something tangible, something permanent, that spoke to the depth of their bond without needing to be spoken aloud. Before we dive deeper into the extraordinary revelation of Bruce's secret tribute, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Here we share the most inspiring, emotional, and unbelievable true stories that remind us all of the beauty of human connections. As whispers of Bruce's mysterious project continued to circulate among a select few, the world remained oblivious. But the truth has a way of surfacing, and soon what was once a private symbol of gratitude and love would become a story that touched millions around the globe. In the years following their divorce, Bruce Willis and Demi Moore continued to defy the expectations not just of Hollywood, but of the world. Where others saw endings, they forged a new beginning, a friendship rooted in shared history, mutual respect, and above all, love for their 3 daughters. While countless celebrity divorces devolved into bitter feuds, Bruce and Demi became symbols of what was possible when ego was set aside. They celebrated holidays together, took joint family vacations, and appeared side by side at milestones like graduations and weddings. It was as if the contract of marriage had dissolved, but the covenant of family remained as strong as ever. Yet even those closest to them didn't fully grasp the emotional depth underpinning this extraordinary bond. Beneath the surface of their smiling public appearances were countless gestures, subtle but profound, that spoke volumes. Every year, without fail, Bruce sent Demi a handwritten letter on her birthday. These were not simple greetings, but pages filled with memories, gratitude, and reflections on how their journey together shaped the people they had become. Sometimes humorous, sometimes deeply sentimental, these letters were their private ritual, an invisible thread keeping their souls connected. There were also quieter moments, known only to their daughters. Like the time Bruce, while filming overseas, flew back secretly for just one evening to be at Demi's side during a difficult personal loss. Or the anonymous donations Bruce made to women's shelters, a cause deeply important to Demi, without ever seeking recognition. Their daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, grew up witnessing this rare dynamic. They often said that having divorced parents who remained best friends gave them a sense of security many children from intact homes never knew. They saw how love didn't have to end, it could simply evolve. But behind this visible harmony was a secret project, a quiet tribute Bruce had begun crafting without anyone, including Demi, knowing. It started one afternoon in 2005, when Bruce visited an art gallery in Santa Fe. There he was captivated by the work of an obscure sculptor, whose pieces captured not just physical form, but the very essence of human resilience. Something clicked within him. What if he could capture Demi's spirit, her strength, her grace, her unwavering ability to rise, in a form that would outlast words, outlast even him? From that moment, Bruce began a journey. He met with artists, sketched concepts, and carefully designed what would become an artistic monument to a woman who had once been his wife, but always remained his family. It wasn't just a sculpture. It was a testament to endurance, forgiveness, and the beauty of transformation. He chose not to tell anyone, not his daughters, not his closest friends, and certainly not Demi. This was his quiet labor of love, not born out of obligation nor nostalgia, but out of deep, abiding respect. Occasionally, curious glances were exchanged when Bruce would vanish for a few days under the guise of work. Paparazzi, ever hungry for a story, never suspected. To them, Bruce was just the die-hard action star, living a quiet post-divorce life. But to those paying attention, the rare few, there were signs. Artists whispered about a celebrity commissioning a private work of great emotional significance. A contractor spoke anonymously about building a hidden space on private property, though he never knew who or what it was truly for. All the while, Demi continued her own journey, navigating her career, personal growth, and family life, entirely unaware that, piece by piece, a tribute to her existence was slowly being brought into the world. The revelation came by accident, as these things so often do. In 2023, a journalist named Natalie Jensen was researching a piece on celebrity art collectors for a niche magazine. While investigating Bruce Willis's lesser-known involvement in the art world, she requested access to archives of commissioned works that had never been publicly displayed. Most requests were denied, but one file, misfiled and overlooked, contained something unexpected, a collection of letters, sketches, and blueprints marked only with the initials DM. Natalie was intrigued. The documents described a sculpture, unnamed, unsigned, and hidden, described by the artist in notes as a monument to strength in stillness, an ode to the woman who taught me what love truly means. The sculptor had been paid handsomely in cash, all contracts routed through an LLC tied loosely to Bruce's business manager. The connection was undeniable, and the woman? Demi Moore. The journalist contacted Bruce's publicist for confirmation, but the response was swift and vague. No comment. Suspiciously quick. The story was bigger than Natalie could have imagined. With gentle persistence, Natalie followed the trail, eventually arriving at a secluded property outside Haley, Idaho, not far from where Bruce and Demi once raised their children. There, hidden in a forested clearing accessible only by a narrow path, she found it. The sculpture stood nearly 9 feet tall, carved from rose granite and polished to a gleam that caught the sunrise in soft hues. The figure was abstract, but unmistakably feminine, a woman standing barefoot on uneven ground, her arms raised not in surrender, but in balance. She was neither weeping nor smiling. She was simply there, grounded, serene, unmovable. A small plaque read, "To the unshakable, from the one who still remembers the tremors." The public reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Photos of the sculpture spread across social media like wildfire. People speculated, debated, cried. Is this Bruce's tribute to Demi? How could he keep this hidden for so long? This is the most romantic gesture I've ever seen. Demi, meanwhile, was in Paris attending a fashion event when she first saw the image. She was frozen. According to those close to her, she wept openly, overcome not just by the beauty of the piece, but by the realization that Bruce had carried this secret, this deeply loving gesture, for so many years without telling her. A few days later, Bruce called her. Their conversation, shared later in fragments by their daughter Rumor, was raw and emotional. "I never stopped seeing your strength," Bruce told her. "Not when we were in love, not when we were apart. I needed to honor that, even if no one ever saw it." Demi's response was quiet, but filled with emotion. "You've always had the biggest heart, Bruce, bigger than any of us ever knew." Their daughters, touched beyond words, visited the sculpture together for the first time as a family. There, in the silence of the woods, they saw their parents not as stars, not as exes, but as two souls who had found a way to love beyond definitions. The tribute wasn't just a statue, it was a culmination of years of silent loyalty, respect, and emotional courage. Bruce had carved more than stone. He had carved memory into permanence. The sculpture, once hidden in the woods of Idaho, quickly became more than just a personal tribute. It became a global phenomenon. Within days of the discovery, the story swept through every corner of the internet. Hashtags like Bruce and Demi, Enduring Love, and Sculpted in Respect trended worldwide. News anchors spoke with reverence, influencers posted tearful reactions, and people across generations found themselves captivated by a love story that had quietly defied time. The public, used to celebrity scandals and bitter divorces, was blindsided by the sheer grace and depth of Bruce Willis's gesture. This wasn't a PR stunt, a publicity campaign, or a late-life confession. It was something purer, a monument to what love can become when it's no longer confined to romance but grows into legacy. Celebrities began to chime in. Oprah Winfrey called it one of the most moving examples of evolved love I've ever seen. Matthew McConaughey tweeted, "Real strength is loving without needing to be seen." Bruce Willis, that's how it's done. Even former co-stars and directors from their past films added their voices, sharing stories of quiet kindness and deep emotional intelligence that now made perfect sense. More importantly, regular people, parents, children of divorce, couples going through breakups, saw themselves in the story. Thousands of letters poured in to Bruce and Demi from people who felt inspired to forgive, reconnect, or simply appreciate those they once loved. "You gave me hope that our family can still be whole," one letter read. Another, "Thank you for reminding me that divorce doesn't have to mean division." For the Willis-Moore family, the tribute became a spiritual cornerstone. Rumor, the eldest daughter, spoke at length about how the sculpture had shifted something inside her. "I always knew my parents loved each other, even if they weren't together. But seeing what Dad built for Mom, it felt like watching his soul made visible." Scout described it as healing. "So much in life changes, but that sculpture, it made me feel like there's a part of them that never stopped holding hands." Tallulah, ever the artist herself, began a photo series inspired by the statue, capturing moments of silent strength in women from all walks of life. She called it Foundations, and it quickly gained acclaim for its emotional honesty. And Bruce, whose health had been quietly declining in recent years, seemed to find peace in the reaction. Though he rarely gave interviews anymore, a statement was released through his family. "I built something for someone who shaped me, and in doing so, I remembered who I am." This wasn't about the past. It was about gratitude, for the journey, for the family we built, and for the way love never truly disappears. Demi, in turn, gave a brief, heartfelt interview with her voice trembling. "Bruce has always been full of surprises, but this is beyond words. I feel seen in a way I never expected again. And I'm so grateful, not just for the sculpture, but for the man who created it." The sculpture, originally intended to remain private, was moved, by public request and with the family's blessing, to a garden in Los Angeles, open to the public. There it became more than just a work of art. It became a pilgrimage for those who believed in enduring love, in forgiveness, in the quiet strength of emotional truth. And in that serene garden, where sunlight filtered gently through trees, people stood before Bruce's tribute and found themselves changed. In the months that followed, the world slowly returned to its rhythm, but the impact of Bruce Willis's tribute to Demi Moore remained. The sculpture, now named Balance by popular acclaim, stood as a silent sentinel in its new home, a place of reflection, forgiveness, and awe. Visitors came from around the globe. Some brought flowers, others left letters. A few just stood silently, their eyes glistening, not because they were mourning lost love, but because they were witnessing what love becomes when it matures, not fire, but light. For Bruce and Demi, The tribute brought not only public recognition, but personal transformation. They found themselves reconnecting on a deeper emotional level, not as romantic partners, but as soul allies. Two people who had survived fame, pressure, heartache, and change, and emerged with a friendship few could understand. "I never thought we'd become this," Demi said in a rare public reflection, "but I'm proud of it. We didn't just survive each other, we cherished each other. That's rare." Bruce, whose health had grown more fragile, spent increasing time with his family. Surrounded by his daughters and supported by Demi's calm presence, he seemed to exhale years of quiet effort, his tribute now no longer hidden, but embraced. In private, Bruce and Demi shared conversations that ranged from silly to sacred. They laughed over memories from film sets and vacations. They talked about growing old. They spoke of legacy, not the kind Hollywood tracks, but the kind that lives on in the hearts you've touched. Bruce once whispered to Demi, his voice soft from age, "You were the first person I ever built something for. I guess I just never stopped building." The sculpture, meanwhile, had taken on a second life in the public imagination. Universities taught courses about it in art and psychology programs. Relationship therapists referenced it in sessions as an example of what emotional maturity can look like. Couples brought their children to see it, telling them, "This is what love can grow into." It wasn't long before the sculpture became part of a global conversation on reimagining relationships, no longer measuring them by duration, but by the depth of their impact. And in that cultural shift, Bruce and Demi became more than icons, they became guides. Their story was never about perfect romance. It was about the power of choosing respect over resentment, of continuing to care after the labels fall away, and of building something beautiful when no one is watching. As Bruce's health challenges deepened, the family drew even closer. On one quiet afternoon, the entire clan gathered near the sculpture. It was a moment of stillness, Ruma with her newborn child, Scout strumming a soft tune on a guitar, Tallulah taking photographs of the light falling on her parents' faces. Bruce held Demi's hand, and though his words came slower now, the message was clear. "Thank you for being my constant," Demi replied with tears in her eyes. "Thank you for showing me what love can become." And that, perhaps, was the heart of it all. A love not defined by romance, but by reverence. If this story moved you as much as it moved us, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. These are the stories that remind us how love can endure, transform, and inspire us all. And don't stop here. Click the video on your screen now to discover another unforgettable tale that proves the human heart is capable of so much more than we imagine.